Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pizza Motorcast. This is your host, Dave. I got a line of special guests all the way on the East Coast, Kelli Barbato, drag racer. How you doing, Kelli?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, how's the weather out there in Pennsylvania?
It's a little warm right now. Luckily, I work in an air-conditioned office, a little too air-conditioned, but I can't complain. It's just a little hot, but it's looking good for the weekend. It's gonna be a little bit cooler, which is very good when you're going racing.
Right. Yeah, the cars like cooler weather.
Definitely.
The intake when they get that cool weather and it seems to go faster.
Absolutely. And I was up on a mountain this past weekend, and it was humid, and it was in higher elevation, so it wasn't some of my faster runs, but it was fun nonetheless. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to sea level.
So, how many events have you ran this year so far?
It's actually been a slow start right now. I didn't start until mid-May, where we had a Mid-Atlantic .90 Association race. And then we raced 2 days that weekend. The next week we came back to go to the divisional at Maple Grove. And anybody out there that follows Division I racing or just divisionals anyway, it was kind of a famous race where it rained Friday afternoon. And then we sat in the motorhome from Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, beautiful day. And we go to get in our cars. My car's warmed up. It's gassed up. It's ready to go. And they had weepers, and they could not do the race. So I did not get to race that weekend. And then Virginia got canceled. And then basically we've been last weekend at New Media was my first race since. So basically had like 6 weeks off in the middle of summer. But after this, we get moving pretty heavy.
So, how'd the car run for you on that first race?
It's been really good. There's some stuff that I'm still working out that I'm trying things that like I kind of wanted to try, and then the car was running okay, so I didn't really want to mess with it, and now it's something to try. So I've been playing with like different, like tire, you play with tire pressures, you play with RPM and things like that. And I think we have a pretty good handle. I just lost a tough race first round on Sunday. It was a really different weather day, and I was actually very happy with my car, even though I lost. There was a lot of slow runs, and I won a 92, which isn't bad, but when the guy next to you is 010 and 90 with an O, you pretty much got to just shake the man's hand and put your car in the trailer.
Yeah. So now what class of racing you run? Do you run bracket?
Very rarely I run brackets. I try to go out there for some seat time when I have an off weekend, but mainly what keeps me busy is the NHRA Division I series. I run a class called Super Street, which is a 1090 index. There's an 890 Super Comp, there's 990 Super Gas, and then there's 1090 Super Street, and that's me. I run the Super Street class a lot. I run Super Gas when I think I may have accidentally said Super Gas, but I run Super Gas sometimes. That was a Freudian slip if I said that. I run that at the national events when there is no Super Street. My car is capable to run the 990 class. So, but usually I just run the Super Street class, the 1090.
Now that Chevy Camaro, what is that, 68?
Yes, it's a 68.
And tell us about that car.
So I guess I ran juniors, and after that, I kind of had like a street car that I was kind of messing around with, and like it was becoming abundantly clear that my dad was not ready or willing to give me his car. So I started looking, and we talked about different classes to kind of, like ease me into like a big car. And I remember one day I was at Cecil County, and I was used to throttle stop racing. My dad ran Super Comp through the 90s and through the 2000s, and up till now he runs Super Gas. So I was used to the throttle stop racing. And I was just watching Super Street one day, and I said, this is where I think I want to be. So I started looking at cars. There's a lot of stuff out there. that we thought maybe wasn't the right direction. And I found this one on Racing Junk out of Rochester, New York. We kind of put a deposit on it, sight unseen. We drove up. I go to sit in it, and I can't fit in it. So luckily, we are good friends with Larry King, who is a local chassis builder down here. And he basically took the cage out, fit me in the car. And I was still in college when I bought it, so just slowly but surely, every time I had a little bit of extra cash, I would get Larry to do things to it. And it's evolved greatly. In the past, I guess, almost 20 years. I've owned it almost like 18 years. I bought it in the end of '03, so it was. It's definitely evolved, but it's probably a little bit more than a super street car than some people want to say, because it's probably more of a super gas car, but I think it's somewhere stuck in the middle. But that's what's great about it. It's very versatile for me.
So what do you got under the hood?
Currently, it is a 565 big block Chevy that my dad assembled. He works for Gil Davis Racing Engines. Before that, he worked for Black Arrow, and before that, he worked for Jenkins Competition. So anybody out there that knows the Grump, my dad worked for him. So yeah, he's my engine guy. Pretty easy. I always know the status of my engine. I know I hear people talking about and certain different engine shops out there, and waiting on their parts and things like that. Well, luckily I have a first priority with my engine builder, so I'm very blessed that way. But yeah, he built me a pretty nice piece. It's probably one of the faster cars in Super Street in the country, and that's a great thing.
Now, what kind of tires are you running on the car?
I run Hoosiers. My Roy from Hoosier. He's great. I just kind of was doing some research one day, and I said, I'm thinking about this tire, and he said, that's a great tire for your car. And I mean, I haven't looked back. I've tried different brands, but and nothing against them. I've never had any tire issues. It was just I found a Hoosier, and it's great for me.
All right. So what's the quickest pass you made with that car?
So I do run the throttle stop. So I've gone, let's say in super gas trim, I can go about 990 at like 156. I was with a smaller motor. I contested in Pinks All Out probably almost 10 years ago now. And my quickest DT, I think, was like a 934.
Now, how many years did you run juniors for?
I guess I was in juniors for about 7 years. By the time my car was built, it was 1993, so they had been like a year old. Juniors were a year old. And then I aged out after the 2000 season. So, yeah, I had like a good 7 or 8 years in it until it was I aged out and I couldn't do it anymore.
So how'd you do in junior dragsters? Did you have success?
No.
No?
Not at all. Actually, if we to be candid, in the beginning, it was a lot. It was brand new. There wasn't. I feel bad for these kids now. You come in and there's kids that you're racing that have been at it for 5, 6, 7+ years, and in when we started juniors, we were all brand new at it. We were all still learning, how to get a good reaction time, how to drive the stripe. How to dial our car. So it was sort of, not to say easy, but it was a little, we were all on the same level. It was a little bit of an more even playing field. We were all in the same boat. We were all learning. So I actually got lucky, and the second race I ever entered, I actually won. When I look back, it was kind of funny to see, because I look at my reaction times and I look at how I was dialed, and we were dialing up and down by tenths and half a tenth. It really, it's not as precise as I race now. And, but I just got lucky. And that day, I was in the winner's circle, and I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But, after that, I think they got better. I did not. The bottom bolt stuff for me is very difficult. I still to this day dread any kind of bottom bowl racing. I just don't do it. It's why Super Street was so appealing to me, because it was pro tree, and I felt like I could do that better. And it actually worked out. I mean, I won a couple other races in juniors, but not to the not as successful there than in other cars and other classes.
So, what made you get into drag race in the first place? Was it your dad's fault?
Yes. Actually, no. It's funny you say fault. My aunt Donna dated a guy that ran, I think, stock race, and he took my aunt to the track and with my dad, and they would. My dad just really liked it, so it was one of those he grew up in a neighborhood with all of his family, and some of the grandfather wasn't exactly loving him doing that, but my grandmother was not one. She just said that's what they want to do, that's where they're going to go, all that, and my dad was basically hooked from the first time he went to I think he said the first track he ever went to was Cecil County with my aunt, and his cousins had a car, and he just always he just kind of grew up around it, and so he had a car, and then when the junior stuff came around, it was just kind of a natural thing. I want to do that. And I did, and I did it with my brother. And then, after juniors, you kind of have that crossroad on if you're going to continue or if you're going to grow up and be an adult. And he went the adult route, and I want to be a race car driver route.
Now, Kelly, are there any drag racers that were inspirational to you when you started racing, say, local drivers or NHRA, either one?
When I started, it's funny, there was some females. There was Vonnie Mills and Vicky Beam, Katie Steele. And what I really took away from them was my dad never really put them down or thought that he could beat them just because they were a girl. In fact, he would say he goes, Vonnie and Vicky and Katie, they'd all beat up on me. He's like, he never was really worried about putting a girl in a race car, and that's what I looked up with. It was kind of through him I looked up to them, because I thought, well, wow, they're tough and they're racing with the boys. But those are really the only local. There really wasn't, these days in Division I. I mean, we have so many females, and I still look up to them. I look up to them probably more now than I did back then, because I understand it. I'm there. We all treat each other with respect. They're my peers, and that's what's great about it.
Now, do you look up to anyone in NHRA at all?
In the professional categories?
Yeah.
I always liked Angel growing up, because she won a lot. I love the Force girls, all of them. Ashley, I think, is Ashley's 2 weeks younger than me, so I don't know why we have that bond, but I feel like we have a bond because of that. But, I do like the Force girls. I always just rooted on the girls. I mean, unless they had some kind of chip on their shoulder that they felt I don't know. If I got a bad vibe from them, but I can't even think of any that professionally. I mean, these days I still root on Brittany. I'm so bummed that Courtney Force isn't racing anymore, because I'd love her to come back. Leah, it seems really cool. I follow her on Instagram, and it seems like she does a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, any of them really I look up to.
All right, now after all the years of racing now, what still keeps you passionate about drag racing?
I haven't won that Wally yet.
Yeah.
But it's funny. There's times that I do get a little discouraged, and I'm like, well, maybe this is the time I need to start slowing down and thinking about finishing it up or slowing it down or something. And then I win a race, and it's okay, this is why I did this, and and then it kind of just recharges me. And just, the friend aspect of it, I have a lot of friends that and I would miss them not being there. But, it's every time, if there's a tough weekend, it's I kind of get myself down. I get down on myself. But then, I get there again and I'm recharged. I was kind of, New Media was a long weekend, and it was fine. I didn't see as many win weights as I wanted to, but I was like, okay, I just want to go home. I want to go to bed. I'm so tired and everything. But like now, even by Wednesday, even by yesterday, I was ready to go to Cecil. So the downs are very fleeting.
All right. So now, what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
Winning, and actually, I'm going to say as to lump it all together, the winner circle. Obviously, I like my winner circles the best, but anybody's. I have a lot of friends, and sometimes when you have a fair amount of friends, we tend to at least one of us finds the winner circle in a weekend, and I know, like at Cecil, I was just talking to one of my friends this morning, and he was like, we didn't do too well at Cecil last year at the pig roast, and I said, I know. Usually, at least one of us wins, and we get to be in a winner circle picture together. And I do enjoy that because we're celebrating somebody who was successful. It's something that we're also passionate about, and we all get to be together because you have that group that we're all rooting each other on, and we have a lot of fun in our winner circle pictures. We have a friend, one of our good friends. He always brings champagne, and we sometimes we'll spray it at each other. Sometimes we'll all drink it and toast and stuff. But those are my favorite memories. Just like the afterwards, being with your friends and celebrating a win. I do love that, and just that it's just a fun. It can be stressful. There's a lot of things I got to do before I leave on Saturday or on Friday night. But it's like when I stop and think about like why I'm doing it, it's like, well, wow, I get to have such a cool life.
Now, is there anything that you hate about drag racing?
Losing.
Yeah.
I like everybody. I mean, I try to realize, like, and I've been getting better at it. Like, you're going to lose more than you're going to win, and you just need to keep pressing on, and you can't be scared to lose because you're going to do it. Don't let it phase you. Like psych you out on the starting line. Just keep just take it out of your head. But things like that. It's nothing. I mean, I can't say there's nothing I mean, sometimes the work, like there's times like, I wouldn't mind, going to do this some night, but we can't because we want to work on the race car and stuff. And, we have a limited time up here, on the East Coast, like in mid-Atlantic, we have, about 6 good months of racing. So it's like, I really don't have time for other like summer hobbies. I'd love to, but that would be the only thing. But if you want to be competitive, you need to give it a lot.
Okay, now besides yourself, how many other crew members do you have for the car?
So basically, it's me and my dad most of the time, and then my fiance is between 2 race cars right now. He sold one, and we're trying to talk him into getting another one. But he's calling himself retired right now. So when he comes, like I never want to, I know a lot of racers are bad spectators, so I never force him to come. Sometimes he'll surprise me and show up, and I always call him my calming influence because I can get a little crazy, and when he's on the starting line and he's lining me up, I can see him, and he's like the last face I see, and I'm like, I feel calm, and I feel like I'm very confident when he's around. But my mom, she doesn't usually come, but when she does, I'm so excited because she's like, she doesn't come a lot, and I got to win a race last year when she was there, so I was really happy. But I got a big cheering section at home, but basically when it comes to our crew at the track, it's just me and my dad, and then anybody else that would come, they usually have their own cars, but like we all try to help each other out. Like sometimes we'll park with each other and stuff, but yeah, it's basically, I do not have, I always say, one of my best friends is Amanda Boychesco, and her crew chief is Jello, and I always joke with people that I need my own Jello. So that's basically, yeah, that's what unfortunately I do not have my own Jello, so maybe one day.
So your dad's your crew chief?
Yep. Yes, he is.
All right, now.
And I am his.
If you could have the fans that come out and watch you race all the time, if you could have them remember one thing about you, Kelly, what would you want that one thing to be that the fans remember about you?
I want mostly the younger girl fans to know that I'm not anybody special. If you have a drive, if you have a if you have a good job, you can do this. It doesn't take a lot of it's I had some opportunities with my dad being who he is, but not anything that anybody else couldn't overcome. I mean, you can start with something slow. You can work your way up. You can get a good job, and you can afford this. And I want the girls to know, like we all, us girls, all need to root each other on. We shouldn't root against each other. And that's my favorite thing. Like I remember at the Keystones a couple of years ago, there were some fans. I was getting ready for first round, and this little girl comes up to me and asked for a picture, and I was just blown away. I thought it was the coolest thing. And you want to be that person that always says yes to fans, and I love that I had a second that I could do that. And I love when I see them, or some people will point and say, "Oh my God, that's a girl." It's like, yeah, yeah, we can do this too. It's just doesn't matter the gender. You just need a drive and a want to do it.
All right. So now, what kind of advice would you give to someone that might be listening live to this interview right now, whether it be a young child or teenager or adult, and they're thinking about drag racing? What getting into drag racing? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, it's probably not the best thing that NHRA would want me to say, but it's like it almost needs to be a little all or nothing. If you want to do it and you want to be successful at it, you need to give it a lot of effort. If you are totally fine going out there when you want to, you may not see as many win lights. I mean, but it's still fun. I will say, some of my favorite races, I didn't turn a win light on. I will say that because, you're getting to drive your race car, you're with your friends. But it's you have to match the level of competitiveness with the drive and the drive that you have and the opportunities that you can give yourself. If you don't have a very good paying job, you're probably not going to be running, in like the NHRA Lucas Oil Series. But if you have, just enough, you're got all your other bills paid, you have a little extra, you can buy a car and you can go bracket racing. There's always, there's Trophy Eliminator and things like that, if you just want to get out there. So, just kind of find the right fit for you. There's many different options.
Now, Kelly, do you think you get any better as a driver? And if so, how do you achieve that to get better as a driver?
I think everybody can improve. And, it's, like I said, one of my best friends is Amanda Boychesko. She's division champ, and she still makes mistakes. So it's, I see her and I say, why am I so tough on myself? We're both tough on each other, we're tough on ourselves. We support each other, but we're tough on ourselves. But, it's like, if I see, it's like, well, she can make a mistake. I can. It's like, and she's still a champion. And I give myself a break, but I also see where she's like hitting the practice tree all the time, and she's always getting seat time and things like that. And I realized that's what I could probably use a little bit more of. I could use a little bit more time on the practice tree. I could, focus a little bit, focus a little bit better, practice focusing better, whether it's through yoga or something else like that. But, and just working with my car, checking, making sure like the race looks good, making sure that I'm staging properly every time. And, there's always room for improvement. And I don't know a racer that wouldn't want to get better, because sometimes it's easier than fixing your race car if we can get better.
All right, now, what has been one of your most memorable wins?
I would say probably Maple Grove last year, I think it's the end of August. Like I said, my mom doesn't come to a lot of races, but she did come to that one. And friends of mine that I used to, it was my parents' best friend couple. Their son, one of their sons was there, and we used to run juniors together. And it was funny because he was track champion years ago in junior dragsters at Maple Grove, and he came up to just watch his dad. He took the I'm going to be an adult route. Out of the four of us that grew up together, I'm the only one that took the I'm not going to be an adult route. And then he came up and he was helping his dad, and I was joking with him because I started going around, and I said, "Well, I'm used to you doing this when when you're around, like not me." And he just started laughing. But it was cool that he got to be in my winter circle picture, and my friend, all my friends were there, and they all stay. It was, and I love that because usually on a Sunday night, like we're all tired, we're ready to go. When you win on Sunday, your winter circle picture is drastically smaller than a Saturday one when everybody's still there. But I was so touched that most of them were there and they stayed to be in my picture, and like I said, my fiance is not racing right now, so like I actually got to like FaceTime him so he could be in my picture, and I try to I always include him because whether he's home or there, he's part of this. So it was a fun winter circle. I mean, that was one of them. There's probably another one that's one of my favorites, but it's more. I probably shouldn't bring it up if I'm trying to be a role model for children.
All right. So, what are some of your favorite tracks to race on?
It's funny. So, ACO, Maple Grove is my home track, and just for that and growing up there and learning to drive my race car there, I love that track. However, I tend to do very well at ACO. Actually, it's funny. I was at work today, and there's a picture of a winter circle picture from a couple, it was 3 years ago. It was 2018, and it was from today in 2018. It was from July 28th, and I was like, wow, that was 3 years ago. And that was another one of my memorable racing moments because there was a lot of people in that picture. My mom, unfortunately, wasn't there, but I know, like, other friends that don't usually show up to the track, they were there, so that was cool. So I never get a picture with everybody in there. There's always somebody missing. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I do love ACO. Cecil is I'm actually very excited to get to Cecil. They redid the track, so I'm excited to get there. Virginia Motorsports Park is so smooth. It's so pretty. I love going there. I don't get a chance to race a lot of racetracks because we have a pretty good concentration of them right here, so I don't do a lot of traveling. I'd love to get to, like, Norwalk or Gawat someday. I'd love to, but, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm sure once I get there, I'll love those tracks, too.
Now, going back to junior dragster, how was your first time experience going on a drag race track?
I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, I don't even remember. I think I left on the green light, not on the yellow, which was probably foreshadowing the rest of my junior career. I will say, God, it was so long ago. It was almost 30 years ago. I can't even remember. I don't remember freaking out. I don't remember being scared. So that was a good thing. So, I don't know if that, it's funny. It wasn't even like, okay, this is what I want to do forever. I think it was just like, I'm just adapting. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make it work. And that's, I think, my 10-year-old head thought.
How was your first time experience going on the Camaro?
I was scared to death. No, actually, it's funny. Since it has it still does. It has a throttle stop on it. My dad made it so that I ran on the throttle stop the whole ride down because. So when my car in between, the fastest thing I had driven between the juniors and that was my 14-second Camaro that I'm actually turning into a super street car right now. So, but I went for basically 14s, and my dad's like, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm going to take this car down the track the first time. I was like, understood, no problem, which was good because the second run down the track, it stuck the throttle, and we had to fix it. So, nowadays I probably wouldn't panic. I wouldn't freak out. But back then I probably would have never driven the car. So it was probably good. And my dad would probably say the same thing. It was probably good that he was in it when it stuck the throttle. But finally my dad's like, well, I'm going to take the throttle stop off and you're just going to go down the track. And I was on the stop for a little bit, and then I took off, and like I went, like I forget even what the ET was. It may have still been like 14 seconds, but I went like 130 miles an hour, and I remember getting out and being scared to death. But it's funny now because I go like over 20, almost 25 miles an hour faster than that now. So it was interesting back then when I think about it. When I look back and I'm like, oh God, 130 scared you? What the heck? Like that's nothing. But when you're not used to it and you don't really ease into it, and you have a little bit of a healthy fear, which I always say is it's good to have a healthy fear. You don't want to be scared, but you want to have a healthy fear. It was a little too much. I got a little scared, but I just kind of like, okay, shake it off. This is what you need to adapt to. Just, don't let them know that you're freaked out. Just go. Just do it.
So now do you have a need for speed now?
I'm really happy where I'm at. I don't know. Maybe down the road I'd get a dragster to a lot of people run both Super Street and Super Comp. Maybe even like a roadster for super gas. But I would never get rid of I would never get rid of my car to get something else. But obviously if I would buy something, the car I'm building now is actually going to be a little slower, but it's got sentimental value because it was a car I drove in high school. But, as far as like buying a dragster, maybe if the opportunity arose, maybe I would. But for right now, I am happy where I'm at. And, it would be fun to go faster, but, with bracket racing and the rate of closure, it sometimes can be tough when you have that much of a rate of closure. I've ran people that are only going 115 miles an hour when I'm going 150, and it's tough to judge. So it's like there's a line, there's a limit there where it's cool. It would be cool to brag about being faster, but I don't know if I would see as many win lanes.
So now, Kelly, when you get out there in the staging lanes, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
I listen to music. I have my earbuds in, and I have a little race mix on my Spotify playlist. And that just sort of calms me or amps me up. It's kind of funny. It can do both, and all of the songs can do both. But I just feel like it kind of like level sets me for the run. It's just kind of blocking everything out. Other than that, I do put all my safety equipment on probably about like the same way. Like I put my right glove on first. I put my left glove on second. I don't know why, but it's probably the slight OCD in me. But other than that, like I try not to do a lot of like superstition or rituals, because if for some reason we're running late or something and it doesn't happen, then I don't want it to like bother me. Like, oh my God, I forgot to do that. Like, I try to make it stuff that it's like, it's not it's something that I have to do. Like, it's not like, having to, well, sometimes what I'll say is if I fist bump somebody, like if I see somebody, like a friend of mine, I'll fist bump them. And then, I try to keep doing that. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have any like rituals.
No, do you have any sponsorship?
Basically, I have people that help me out, like companies that help me out. Hoosier, like I said before, Roy is awesome. He's always helpful with stuff. ET Transmissions, Select Performance, King's Race Cars, Gil Davis Racing Engines. That's pretty much like the people that just, whether they help me or give me discounts or guidance or whatever. I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to rely on sponsorships. I was taught, get a good job and, you don't have to rely on somebody else paying for your racing. You can kind of answer to your own, tune, and you can kind of do what you want to do. And I kind of followed that. And I've had a couple sponsors through the years, and they were great when they were around. And when they left, it didn't like devastate me.
All right. Now, does that car take a lot of preparation to get ready between races?
It depends. Unfortunately, I don't live with the car. I live about an hour north of where the car sits at my parents' house. So luckily, like if it needs anything during the week, Sometimes I'll stop by, or if not, like my dad will take care of it. But every couple weekends, depending on how I do it, needs an oil change. But mainly, it's not so. And we check like valve lash and things like that. Check the springs. I've been known to do a pretty badass burnout every now and then, so Dad has to check on the springs sometimes. But mainly the getting ready, the preparation is, we have a motorhome, so I have to fill the motorhome with water, and I got with food and drinks and everything. That's sort of my job. I fill the fuel up, from the drum in the shed. If something needs to get cleaned, like last night I was over there, we were cleaning the truck, motorhome. I was cleaning my golf cart. There's stuff. It's mainly like it's kind of funny. It's the non-racing stuff, but making sure that that's done can kind of help you like focus on the car if you need it to. But car's always number one, and then but usually it doesn't need anything. Which is a good thing. It's it gives you time to be able to catch up on everything else that you didn't do over the weekend. Cut the lawn, do the wash, things like that.
Now, do you do quarter mile racing or 8 mile racing?
Mainly quarter mile. I've done a couple 8-mile races. The first one it was really windy at Echo one day. I had a brand new combination. Everything was new. The car, I put a grill in the car. I put a race tag in the car. I put an ignition in the car. I changed everything. And they said, and I didn't get any test days because of the rain. And I get to the track on Saturday morning, and they said, we're going to go 8 mile. So I looked at the index for 8 mile, and I looked at what my 8 mile was, and I was like, ooh, okay, I got to kill like a half a second. So they gave us 2 runs, and I guess I figured it out because I got to the finals. It was kind of crazy. But I ran that, and then last year at the NHRA Divisional at Maple Grove, same kind of deal. It was, I don't know if it was leapers or exactly what, but they decided we're going to go 8 mile. So I had some numbers to play with, but I won first round in that, and then I lost second round to Keith Mayers, who is pretty tough competitor when you're when you're racing, when you're doing something that you haven't done much of. You really don't want Keith right then. You want to wait until you got your stuff together. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And those are my only 2 8 mile experiences. They were different, but yeah, mainly everything up here is a quarter mile.
Yeah, so quarter mile would be your preference.
Yes, especially the pros, the 1,000-foot. I still can't figure out what's a good run or not.
Now, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from?
Jeff Kondratic, I have purchased. I've purchased my shoes from, and I purchased my pants from there, which I can now not fit in, and I'm actually borrowing my fiance's while he's not racing. They're Sparkos. But mainly everything else is Simpson. My jacket's Simpson. My gloves are actually Oakley. But my Hans is also Simpson. And I guess my new head sock is Oakley. I wore my old head sock out, so I ended up finding an Oakley one. I'm a big fan of Oakley stuff, so when they have some safety equipment, I try to buy that stuff.
Now, have you reached any milestones in your racing career so far?
I never really set out for. Obviously, we all want to win a Wally. I haven't done that yet, but I was really close to winning a championship last year for Mid-Atlantic Super Street. I came within a half a round of Keith Mayers, as I talked about. It was heartbreaking. It was. I was so close. I would have been the first female to do it in Super Street, not in the association, because Amanda did it a couple years before that. But there's some. I have a couple things. Like I was the first one when there became a .90 association, and now we have 890, 990, and 1090. I was the first one to win in both the 990 and the 1090 category. So I don't think anybody knows or cares about that stat, but I'm proud of that I won in the same car in 2 different classes. I think I don't know pretty much anything else. I really don't have anything else that, it's just, I just keep going. And if if something pops up, it's like, oh, that's cool that I'm part of that. But yeah.
Now, have you had any accidents or close calls in your drag racing career so far?
Luckily, no. Knock on wood. I've had some runs that, maybe, I'll lift if if it feels a little funny, if I feel as though the track is not, maybe up to par necessarily, and I'm feeling a little out of the groove, I will lift. Again, that healthy fear, I think that prevents me from having, a close call. But, I just try to, if I don't feel comfortable, I lift, I figure out what's going on. But, somebody told me years ago that, most likely this car will warn me if it's not happy. And I've kind of lived by that. But, if there's a time where I don't feel comfortable, I'll lift, because it's like, I'll race another day. I love this car. I don't want anything to happen to it. So, so I just try to avoid, anything like that. I try not to race over my head.
Now, I know earlier, Kelly, in the interview, you were saying you don't have time for any other hobbies with drag racing. So if you do have time for other hobbies, what kind of hobbies do you like to do besides drag racing?
So I started gardening. I built one pot, and it's I think it's almost dead, the flowers, because I kept forgetting to water them. I even forgot to water them today. I told myself I was going to go inside and water them, and I didn't. So I have quite a brown thumb. I would love to try to do that, because I think it was, when I did make the little pot, I was very proud of myself. Other than that, I do enjoy, I don't know if this is necessarily a hobby, but I do like working out. I love kickboxing. So I like to do that. I like to do yoga when I can. But other than that, I'd love to have something like a boat or like a wave runner. I don't live too far away from a lake, but it's just one of them, when would I use it kind of thing. So I mean, I would probably love to have something to do with the beach. I do love going to the beach.
So what's your favorite type of music to listen to?
Country. I am a huge George Strait fan. I love George Strait. But if you looked at my playlist, I know this is also a musical podcast. If you looked at my playlist, it has everything. I got some AC/DC, I have Van Halen, I got George Strait, I have Carly Rae Jepsen, Debbie Gibson, one of my friends, I was right before a final, she saw the earbud, kind of hanging under my ear, and she's listening to. She looks at me and she goes, "Are you really listening to Call Me Maybe right now?" I'm like, "Heck yeah." Just anything that kind of just gets me going, I don't mind. I will put it in the list, and I enjoy that. It's funny, but yeah, I really do. I used to be one of those people who are like, "Oh, I like anything but country," but now I seriously like everything. My playlist is so extensive.
All right, so now, Kelly, what are you looking forward to the most out of the rest of the year?
So me and my dad are building another car, like I said. It's a Super Street car. We're hoping to have it out at some point this year. That's what I'm looking most forward to. Other than that, I also have to have something else to look forward to just in case that doesn't happen. So, I'm looking forward to basically a month at Maple Grove, from August to the end of September. I think we're there 4 or 5 weekends in a row. I'm really excited for that. Besides the fact that my dad doesn't do half bad there, I'm hoping that continues. And then we go to Virginia, and then we go back to Maple Grove, and then we finish it out at Cecil. So I'm just excited because it's been a slow start to the season. So I'm excited that right now, every other weekend we're going racing, and then by the end of August we're going to be hammered down for a good month and a half of just solid racing.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Oh, no problem. We'll try to do another one in the future. Maybe we'll hear about some Wally Awards.
That was from your mouth to God's ears, my friend.
Okay, well, you have a great night, Kelly. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dave. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
Bye.